Welcome back. Part two of this concept of authenticity thing that I'm doing, and the thought that I had the other day. Just wanted to jump back on here and kind of dissect that thought a little bit more. I'm going to keep this one brief and short. I'm going to keep it frank. The thought that I had that day was around being authentic to yourself. And when it comes to being authentic to yourself, first you've got to know who you are. You've got to be able to distinguish what that character is inside. Who is the individual inside of this body that you are, moving around in? Who is this person? Who are you? And when it comes to figuring out who you are, a lot of it has to do with our upbringing, depending on how you were raised, depending on the different kinds of influences you had growing up. And then obviously as you mature and get older, you start welcoming, sometimes they're unwelcomed. You start welcoming influences into your life that could be transformative, that could be detrimental, that could be upbringing or uplifting. Depending on how you filter the kinds of information and the kinds of influences that you receive on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, it's going to determine the course of action and the course, not only of action, but the course of your patterns. Because your patterns are consistent with who you are as an individual, what that character inside of you is. Now, I genuinely do believe that you are able to change. I believe that humans have been given not the concept, but the ability, there is a word that starts with C that I'm missing, that I'm thinking about it, but can't think about it. Let me just stick with the thought. We've been given that gift, that ability to just, I'm still trying to find that word. Sorry. That we've been given that ability, now I'm stopping. We've been given that ability to look at certain things about ourselves and tweak certain things. If you're naturally an angry person, some of us, have anger. Some of us have hatred. Some of us have, you name it, fill in the blank. We have that specific thing. Some of us are too happy. Some of us are too joyous, and we've got to dial those things back some, just so that we can learn to live a balanced life. Now, you're obviously going to run into people who think, no, if you're joyous and happy and you're just jubilant all the time, keep that about you. Yeah, if you want to, go ahead, sure. Go ahead. You're just going to kind of be looked at in a weird way in society, because nobody walks around just all happy-go-lucky all the time, and maybe the world needs that. I don't know. Maybe you're the first to want to be that way, and go for it. Life is an experiment. Why don't you just try it? But at the end of the day, it comes back down to authenticity and how authentic you are, first and foremost, to yourself. Because if you're not authentic with yourself, then all of these masks that I mentioned in the previous video, all of these masks are going to start becoming incongruent and inconsistent with who you naturally are. You'll start to pretend. Take it from somebody who has done a lot of pretending just to try to fit in with society. And that's not the move. You don't want to pretend to be something you're not, because you're going to be found out. And while you're trying to pretend, you're going to have this, I've heard it said and I've read it, and I have to do better about this in terms of referencing different things that I know about, because it's not going to be powerful and it's not going to be powerful to just say things, because again, who am I, right? I'm just an average Joe. I had read somewhere that the masks we wear are there for adaptability purposes, for survival purposes. Because if we truly walked around being our most authentic self, a lot of times we fear being rejected or excommunicated from society, or at least being, at the very bare minimum, being ridiculed, right? Like, oh, look at that person doing whatever the case may be. But authenticity should be celebrated, regardless of how random, chaotic, sporadic, weird, whatever it is. If you're a nerd, be a nerd. Make it cool to be a nerd. If you're a geek, about, and there's so many different nerds and geeks and chads and jocks and There's a wide range of everything that you can be. Be you. And I think that for the most part, a lot of my life, I lived it not being myself, not being this man that is in front of you today, speaking to you, putting himself out there. This is definitely not common and normal for me. But being that a lot of people are spending more time online, I've got to meet people where they are. I'm a people person. I love people. I also hate people, believe it or not. And I think that as a man, and I can, again, only live and describe things from the experience of a man, because that is what I am. I think I'm going to make that a little phrase or whatever. But when it comes to this experience, this reality as a man, I believe that balance is something that should definitely be acquired. Because if you're too much of something, it can be detrimental to your life. You should be able to learn how to balance and go back and forth between two extremes. You shouldn't just know one extreme. That's what I wanted to touch on today. I think I'm going to make a third video on this authenticity concept. There's another thing that I'm thinking about, but I don't want to go into detail on this one. If you got any value from this one, please share a comment, ask a question, hit that like button. If you find some of these things that I'm talking about helpful and you want to hear more, click on that subscribe button. I've watched so many videos talking about so many different things. And I think it's time for not only me to get out there, put myself out there, but for you to get out there. You've got a message to share, and I want you to share it. And if you think or know or feel or believe that there is something standing in your way of just starting, drop a comment below. Bring it out to the light. Don't let it have power over you, power that it doesn't deserve. Be authentic with yourself today and always, and stay strong. I'm still finding how to end these videos.